In all my videos, I mention supplements that will optimize whatever I am speaking about, but in today, I'm going to go through the list of supplements that I take because I believe that they have the most bang for your buck and they will actually improve the amount of muscle you are building, make you feel better, make you feel more energetic, and boost your testosterone levels. So I really believe these are the supplements that do actually make a change. That is why I'm taking them, because I have felt and seen the benefits. So today I'm going to be going through that list of supplements for you. And keep in mind, all of these things are linked together. If a supplement improves your sleep, it has to improve your testosterone. If a supplement reduces your cortisol at night, then it has to improve your sleep. Again, improved sleep, improved testosterone. So all of these things are linked together into the same big idea of just improving how you feel and the amount of muscle you are building. So let's get right into it. Most of my pills are actually in a container in my bathroom, a glass container, but I do have the bottles saved for this video, and I do need somewhere to store all the pills because I don't have enough glass containers because I do have a lot of supplements. You guys know the drill. Obviously, talk to a health professional before taking any of this. I'm just giving you the information you need to know on the possible benefits you may get if you end up taking these supplements. But my first supplement is L-Carnitine. I take 3,000 milligrams daily of L-Carnitine. Now, L-Carnitine does a couple things, but first I want to name the main reason I am taking it. But first, let me explain how exactly testosterone works. You may know this, but let's get a bit more in depth. So, when testosterone binds to an androgen receptor, that's what signals the muscle building. You have a certain amount of androgen receptors throughout your body in your muscles. Now, normally, your shoulders, upper chest, that area of your body, your upper shelf, is where you're going to have the most androgen receptors. And that is why when people hop on steroids, that's where they see the most amount of gains. Now, what L-carnitine does is it increases the amount of androgen receptors in the muscle. And this is the only way that's been found to actually increase the amount of androgen receptors in your muscles. Now, this is extremely important because this is what determines if somebody's a hyper responder to steroids, and this is what determines if you are going to respond well to your high testosterone levels that you are aiming for. Now, I've gotten a lot of comments of people saying they are in that top end range of testosterone, but they don't have nearly the effects as I do. Now, the reason behind this is in almost all cases, the amount of androgen receptors in your body as far as muscle. So you want to optimize the amount of androgen receptors in your body. And trust me, this makes a genuine difference. You do see the difference when you are taking this. It does improve your upper body mass, makes your body look like a body of steel. Now, the issue with dietary L-carnitine is it's only 15% bioavailable. So the most you will find when you are searching for supplements is 1,000 milligrams per serving. Now, because it's only 15% bioavailable, you actually want to be taking around 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams to get the milligrams to get the sufficient dose. Now, 3,000 to 4,000 is the equivalent to injecting 500 milligrams. A lot of people actually inject this. It is natty. Everything I'm naming is natty, but a lot of people inject this because that is the only way to get your full 100% benefits out of every milligram. But there's no downside other than one possible downside that I'm going to name in a second. But there's no downside to taking 4,000 milligrams. So might as well, if you're only getting 15% bioavailability, then get the higher dose, and 4,000 is going to equate to roughly 500 milligrams, which is what you need for your AR optimization. Now, I've mentioned androgen receptors, but don't think that's the only benefit. It also helps with fatty acid oxidation, which is going to improve your endurance. it also helps you get leaner. You're going to burn more fat while you're on it, and you are also going to, well, have more muscle gaining benefits, so you're not going to lose as much muscle on your cut because you do have more androgen receptors. It's also going to significantly improve your sperm quality. And then there's two possible downsides to this. The first one is, me at first, it gave me diarrhea. Now, this lasted about 3 days and then it went away. And this is only supposed to occur when you're taking 5,000 milligrams. So I'm not sure why I got it. Maybe my body just wasn't used to it, but I got used to it. No longer have that effect anymore. And then the other thing that comes out of it in your stomach when you're taking it dietary, assuming you guys don't want to inject it, which still is an addy, by the way, but assuming you guys don't want to inject it, dietary has the risk of TMAO, and what TMAO is speculated in rat studies. This hasn't been proven in human studies. It's speculated, and I kind of ignore this because I don't believe it's going to happen to me. I don't really believe it. But what is speculated is that TMAO causes cancer in your stomach. So you can go about that how you will. Next on my list is zinc. Now, zinc is something that you want to have as much of available as possible before you start seeing the negative effects. So we always want to get to the range where you're really seeing the most benefits and not seeing negative effects. And once you start transitioning to the other side of the scale where you're seeing the benefits but you're starting to see negative effects, that's when you have too much. So that's kind of how you could judge it if you add zinc into your diet. Zinc is one of those things specifically. But what zinc is going to do is it's going to improve your recovery. You're going to be more recovered from gym session to gym session. It's also going to increase your testosterone. And this is because your balls use the compounds of zinc to maintain their integrity. So it's clearly important to have. Your testicles actually shrink if you're not getting enough zinc or if you are zinc deficient. So, I mean, that alone should be enough to signal to you, hey, yeah, zinc is going to make a difference. And then it also increases your baseline level of dopamine. Extremely important to stay disciplined, to stay locked in. You want to have a higher baseline level of dopamine if you don't want to get distracted. And then be careful if you're taking it on an empty stomach, because it does make some people puke if they take it on an empty stomach. I've made that mistake once or twice, waiting till just not eating for hours before it, and it made me throw up. But I take 50 milligrams of this, and I take it before bed, assuming I'm not staying up too much later and I'm in the relative range of dinner time. And then L-Carnitine, I forgot to mention that bulk supplements is what I use. I'm not sponsored, but it's by far the cheapest you can find. So if you're looking for something that's not crazy expensive for that, because it is quite expensive, then go with bulk supplements. The next thing I take is creatine. Now, I know all of you have heard about creatine, and I'm going to give you something new that most people don't talk about because most people don't do the research on it, just talk about what other YouTubers on other shorts are talking about, the catchy stuff. Oh, the simple ass stuff that actually isn't backed by anything. And this is the amount of creatine you take. Everybody says 5 grams of creatine, but that is actually wrong. 5 grams is for an individual who weighs around 160 pounds. If you weigh around 140 pounds, you only need around 3 grams. If you weigh up to 220 pounds, then you need more like 10 grams. And keep in mind, different bodies vary a lot when it comes to creatine. Some bodies need up to 30 grams of creatine because they have issues in the transmitters making creatine, making it much more difficult to use. So they are actually seeing a lot of negative effects from not having sufficient creatine in their body, but they don't know it because they've lived their whole life with it. So if you take creatine and you are like me and you don't see any change, like I took creatine, I was taking 5 grams for 180 days the first time, and I didn't gain a single pound of water weight from that. I I thought creatine was just useless for me. Came back to it. Now I'm taking around 10 to 12 grams, and I'm finally actually seeing the benefits creatine is said to have. And real quick, let's go through the benefits of creatine because it's a lot more than just, oh, you have water in your muscle, you're stronger. So, the main benefit of creatine, the main thing it's going to do to you, is it's going to increase your amount of ADP. Now, ADP is used to regenerate ATP. So your body uses ATP all the time, and you are going to be maximizing your ability to replenish that ATP to stay energized and to stay fully functioning mid-workout or whatever you're doing. It's even going to help on a walk, just simple things. That's where this is going to help. And because everybody talks about the physical side, I want to talk about the mental side some. It's going to make your brain function much clearer. Its benefits are said to be as beneficial on the brain as it is on the body. So you're going to be thinking much clearer, and you're also going to accumulate less mental fatigue from working hard over a long period of time. And then it's also going to, as far as your body, it's going to improve your fertility. And then it's also going to decrease your levels of myostatin. I'm not sure if you've heard of my video, hey, want to look like this cow? But yeah, those jacked cows are basically things with myostatin deficiencies. Myostatin is what inhibits your body from making more muscle or producing more muscle. It's sort of like the thing that caps us out and stops us from getting too big. That's why we can't infinitely grow, and that's why newbie gains exist. If we didn't have any myostatin, then newbie gains wouldn't be a thing. It'd just be a constant rate of muscle growth. So taking myostatin is another benefit of creatine and might actually be the biggest effect or most beneficial effect of creatine for you. My next supplement is GABA. Now, some people hate on this because it's unclear whether GABA could cross the blood-brain barrier, but I personally have experienced the effects of it, so I believe that it can. Just off of experience, I went into taking it with an open mind, but I did see benefits from it, so that is why I'm throwing it out there. Now, what exactly does this mean for you? This means that your brain is not going to be affected as much from difficult things in your life. So the main example of this is anxiety. If you have a lot of anxiety normally, you're not going to be affected as much by that. It's not going to be throwing you into a constant parasympathetic state. So you're going to be able to relax. You're going to be able to fall asleep and calm down. You're going to be able to drop your cortisol levels before bed as needed. And that is why I take GABA, because it is a good sleep supplement, in my opinion. It helped me with sleep. It made my sleep deeper. It made me rest better. So that is what I take it. But there are a couple other speculated benefits, but none of these are concluded. Just to be clear, there's been studies on them, but very little amounts of studies, so we can't conclude what I'm about to tell you. So one thing that it helps prevent is your body increasing its internal temperature in extreme heat conditions, and this is speculated to increase your performance in the heat so you can keep going for a longer period of time without getting heat exhaustion. Another study showed that when taken with a protein source, in this study they used whey protein, but the group taking GABA compared to the group taking the placebo pill, the group taking GABA actually built more muscle. Now, they weren't sure why this was, but The only explanation for this is it somehow increases your body's ability to use the amino acids to reach your muscles. And then another study showed that it increases your growth hormone levels if you take 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams, which is a lot, and they aren't even sure if it's safe to take over a long period of time at this dosage. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend using it for this reason, but thought I'd throw it out there in case future studies come up on this idea. My next supplement for you is Tongkat Ali. Now, Tongkat Ali is seen to be the most potent testosterone booster you could possibly buy. Researchers even suggest you going on Tongkat Ali before you go on TRT, because the Tongkat Ali could be potent enough for you to just say, no, I don't need TRT anymore. So clearly there is something about this that is very potent. Now, how does Tongkat Ali work? It interacts with your estrogen receptors, blocking their function. Now, keep in mind, this isn't exactly a good thing. When you block the function of your estrogen receptors, what's happening is you're not going to get the effects of estrogen. If you didn't know, testosterone converting to estrogen inside of your body is what actually gives you the masculine feelings, that gives you the mental benefits of high testosterone. So you actually want some of your testosterone converting to estrogen if you want the masculine benefits, such as higher stress tolerance, higher discipline, things in that category. So this could be bad if you already have a low amount of estrogen inside of your body being converted. But for a majority of people, it's going to be worth that trade-off and possibly a good thing. A lot of people have too much estrogen being produced inside of your body. External estrogen is a whole nother thing that might as well be put in a separate class from internal estrogen, but we need to separate those. All I'm saying is to not think that touching an estrogenic is going to have the same effect as on your mental state, like I said a second ago, as testosterone converting to estrogen inside of your body. Now, I want you to understand exactly why Tongkat Ali is boosting your testosterone, and I don't know how to word this any better, so I'm just going to read directly off a study. The effect of Tongkat Ali in restoring normal testosterone levels appears to be less due to actually stimulating testosterone synthesis, but rather by increasing the release rate of free testosterone from its binding hormone, sex hormone binding globulin. So, rather than your body having sex hormone binding globulin in it, it's your SHBG levels are going to be lower, and you're going to be increasing your free test. You could picture it as you're swapping one for the other, and free test is what's going to give you any muscular benefits. I am going to throw out there that there are many cases of people reporting hair loss from it because it is so potent, which is kind of a good thing because you know it's working if people are losing hair from the amount of testosterone they get from it. But if you are prone to balding, you may want to consider that. Now, I take Tongkat Ali at night because studies have shown that it reduces your cortisol levels, and that's important for getting to rest. But a lot of people have reported that they can't sleep after taking it. So if that's you, just take it in the morning. Really experiment with yourself. I recommend adding these supplements one by one, really seeing the effects of each one. Now, my next supplement is Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen, and it gets your body to adapt to states of stress. Now, the more stress you have, the more it's going to decrease your cortisol levels. So what this is going to do is it's going to lower your cortisol levels, which is either good or bad. In the morning, that's a bad thing, and at night, once again, that's a good thing. So always take ashwagandha before bed. This is going to help get you to sleep. It's going to help calm your nervous system. Specifically, it helps activate your sympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system, it's going to tell your body, hey, it's time to relax. Let's tone down our cortisol that's keeping us energetic. let's tone down our adrenal glands, and let's really calm down. It also helps with insulin resistance, so you won't crave sugar as much. You crave sugar less, and you're just going to see better gym gains, because who needs sugar? Sugar's pretty bad for you unless you're getting it from fruits. Don't take this past midnight, because if you take it too late, then in the morning when you spike your cortisol, the ashwagandha is going to prevent this. So if you're taking this super late, then you're not going to feel good the next day. You're going to feel less rested, actually. So you have to be really careful with how you implement this supplement, and that's something not many people talk about. In some individuals where cortisol is impacting their sleep, then ashwagandha is going to improve your testosterone. It's going to improve your recovery. So it's going to improve the amount of muscle you're building in the gym, but don't underestimate the effects it has on your brain. The effects on your brain is pretty potent, and that's why most people go off of it, because they start feeling numb from the amount of effect it has. I am taking a pretty potent dose. Where is it? Actually, no, I'm not. I'm pretty sure that's a normal dose. I didn't do research on the dosages, but I'm taking 500 milligrams. I'm pretty sure more towards 1,000 is where it gets potent. Another, you could call it a benefit, just something that's pretty nice to have, is it's high in iron. It's going to increase the levels of iron in your blood. So in most people, that's going to be a good thing. But be aware, if you have high iron already, that is an effect of ashwagandha. Next on my list is vitamin D3. I take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3. I only take it in the winter because I get a lot of sun in the summer. I'm always outside going on hikes, doing stuff outside because we need sunlight, right? We're naturally supposed to get sunlight. And this is what that's going to fix when you're not getting that sunlight every day, when you're starting to stay inside because it's cold outside, it's cloudy, you're not getting much D3 from the sun. This is going to be the best replacement you can get to not be harmed too much by that. Now, D3 is used by your balls to make testosterone, and that's simply the only reason I take it. I want to have as much D3 in my body as possible, and you should take it with K2, because K2 helps transport it around your body. So the D3 you're supplementing with, if you take it with K2, it's going to reach your balls much easier. So that is how you're going to get the benefits from your D3. The next supplement I take is boron. Now, a lot of people talk about boron increasing your testosterone levels. Now, it doesn't actually increase your testosterone levels as far as just the number itself. It increases your free testosterone levels because it's an androgen amplifier. Now, there's not a lot of studies on it, but the reason I take it and the reason I believe it's a good supplement is because all the reviews and the studies on it are very positive. All of them say, yes, this does work. There's just, once again, not enough information on it because studies are expensive to perform, and a lot of these supplements don't have as much revenue coming in as more popularized supplements, so simply labs just can't afford to get enough studies done to make the information credible. Now, one study I looked at said it increases your levels of free testosterone and it decreases your levels of estrogen. And the only reason it's increasing your free T is because of this decreased estrogen. Because if you didn't know, one of the things your testosterone binds to is estrogen. So that is what I mean by an androgen amplifier. What it's doing is getting your testosterone to be more effective, to perform its role more, rather than being binded up by estrogen. And once again, the mental side is a thing to consider when you're decreasing estrogen, so always be aware of that when I mention that. Now, this study I looked at had a really potent increase by taking just 6 milligrams a day. I take 10 milligrams a day, But by taking just 6 milligrams a day, the amount of free T in your body increased by 20%, which is going to be very noticeable over a long period of time. You have to remember, all these things are stuff you're going to see a benefit from over a long period of time. Now, you might not see that 20% increase in free T in the next month. Maybe not 6 months. By a year, you're probably going to be like, okay, yeah, it's probably made a difference. But imagine in 5 years. We want to stick to this journey for the rest of our life, don't we? So really consider how this affects you over the long period of time, and don't take these hoping that you get the immediate benefits. Take these so you can visualize yourself in the future, how it's going to change the version with you taking them versus not taking them, or else you're going to just take them, be disappointed, and stop taking them. Some other side notes with boron, though, is it increases your cortisol, so take it in the morning because cortisol is actually good for you in the morning. And then it also increases your vitamin D levels, so that's a benefit as far as testosterone and energy. The next supplement I take is magnesium. I supplement it with it because I'd rather have too much than too little. It's one of the minerals for electrolytes, so without getting enough, you're not going to be hydrated properly, which stems into a whole lot of other problems. But somebody with good magnesium intake is going to be much more healthy, and you're just going to feel better in the gym. You're going to get less muscle cramps. Often people get muscle cramps because of a lack of magnesium. So if you cramp a lot, then that's something to consider. And it's going to reduce your blood glucose and improve your insulin sensitivity. Once again, reducing your sugar intake is going to stem into a whole lot of other benefits. You're going to be the person with high testosterone, not a sugary, estrogenic body. And then if you're looking for any sort of signs on a lack of magnesium in your body, the biggest sign is tingling in your fingers, tingling in your toes. You may get this when you wake up. That's due to poor hydration, so go hydrate, but that's the sign of a lack of magnesium, especially if you get that when you're working out or any physical activity. Now, next I got mouth tape. This isn't really a supplement, but this certainly improves your sleep quality, and it's just an item, so I kind of put it under this list. I assumed if you're looking for supplements, this is something you'd be interested in. Now, mouth taping is something people significantly underestimate. Now, not only is it going to train you to breathe solely through your nose all night, that's going to translate during the day because that is our natural breathing pattern. Now, the issue with people during the night is that during the night, you underbreathe. Now, underbreathing means you're not getting enough carbon dioxide, you're not getting enough oxygen. Now, the most common thing with people when they are asleep is almost all of us are underbreathers while we're asleep. Now, when you tape your mouth and only allow yourself to bring in air through your nose actually has a higher level of pressure gradient. Now, this higher pressure gradient forces more oxygen to be intaked in each breath. So this is going to fix that issue with underbreathing. And trust me, having a better level of oxygen is going to improve your sleep quality. It's pretty obvious, and that's why this has effects. That's why it is solely positive, and that's why it sounds a little scary, but I mean, just you pull your lips apart and it comes off. I got 3M micropore tape. This roll right here is about $5 for 2 of them. Really cheap, but that is what I use. It's also going to fix sleep apnea. Studies have shown that I think it's called a CPAP machine is no more effective than mouth taping. Mouth taping is actually just as effective because if you have sleep apnea, it's normally because of your breathing patterns. And then it also fixes snoring. Snoring is something that comes from mouth breathing. If you've been told you snore, then This right here is something that you especially need. And then it also improves your oral health. I'm sure that's easy enough for you to figure out how that works. Now, what about pre-workout? Do I take pre-workout? I do, depending on what state I am, whether I'm dieting or not. Now, my form of dieting is different than most people's. It's normally getting to a specific amount of ingredients or getting a specific ingredient list, and that is what I have to stick to. So obviously taking pre-workout would be too many ingredients. So if I am dieting, then I do not take pre-workout. I drink coffee instead, black coffee with salt and butter. That is a really good pre-workout. Gives you a lot of energy. So if you're ever looking for something new, give that a try. But the pre-workouts I take when I'm not on that is Psychotic. Psychotic is pretty bad for you as far as I know, but it's potent and it gives me the energy for hard workouts. So I mean, if I'm not on any specific diet, I just opt for Psychotic. And then my second favorite, this is the one that actually makes sense, that you could look at all the ingredients and it all makes sense, is Rise. Rise is just a good pre-workout brand in general. They have high dosages of all the things you need. So you could either go with Rise or you could go with the partially suicidal, make you lay on the back, your heart is beating so hard, Psychotic. If you have any questions or any supplements you take that you'd like me to review, like me to look at, look into, think of, try to actually figure out the exact information for, then go ahead, leave that supplement in the comments and I'd look into it for you. Thank you for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and make sure you write down the timestamps I have onto a list of paper so you can go take action and buy those supplements right now. Perspicacity is our grindstone for success. We're lifelong learners. Keep it up, boys.